watching the veins in both Heather's and Judah's necks when they would change, it was all the Cronenbergian body horror that we needed to capture on camera without even a makeup effects artist, because they were so committed to make it feel like this hurt.
I got to say, though, Suitable Flesh, I loved it. It's another fun Lovecraft adaptation, really mind-boggling as well. Joe, I'll come to you first. I mean, this is not your first rodeo in the horror genre, but you've tackled so many different takes on the horror genre, I'd say, whether it's Mayhem or Creepshow. What was it like going into this project in particular in comparison to your prior works?
Honestly, it's been a little while since I had done, straight horror. Honestly, everything's been either like with Wrong Turn 2 or even with Mayhem, they've been kind of hybrids. And then the last film that I had done was like strictly action. And I wanted to get back into the genre that I love, that I've loved as a kid. I love to work with. And, as all of us know, the horror community is such a tight-knit one, but we all love to collaborate with each other. So when you get the email, and the call from the queen of horror herself, Barbara Crampton, you take that call, you reply on that email. And it's been a joy, especially in this world, because I had never done anything quite like this. And I think, all my heroes are ones that always push themselves. And I wanted to push myself in a realm that I had never done anything, with this sort of gravitas and this sort of atmosphere, but also at the same time, pay homage and make this a bit of a love letter to those cinematic provocateurs that I grew up with, especially Stuart Gordon. And knowing that this had ties to Stuart's work, it was a dream come true.
I certainly felt a lot of those homages throughout the film, and I really loved seeing it in that visual language as it went on. And since you mentioned the Queen of Horror over here, Barbara, you and I have talked a couple of times for Jacob's Wife and Sacrifice, and this is one of your first times since Jacob's Wife that we get to see you as a producer as well. And I mean, in addition to that, you've got Brian Usna, you've got Dennis Paolini, who you've worked with before. I mean,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was it like, getting to be wear multiple hats on this project and really help bring it to life as a producer?
Well, I've been producing for a few years now, and this particular script is one that is really close to my heart because it is Lovecraft. It's funny because after I made Jacob's Wife, and it took me so long to get that made, it was like 4 years, I said to myself, if I never make another movie again, as an actor, producer, whatever, I'm fine because I got to make Jacob's Wife. I don't care anymore. I'm done. And then when that was over and I got this script, I said, oh my God, I have to make this movie. This is the one I have to make now. So I think producing movies is like a drug. Once you do one, you kind of have to keep going. And I have a long legacy with Lovecraft, and this was a project that Stuart wanted to do many years ago and wasn't able to get off the ground with Dennis. And after he passed, it meant a lot to me. And I felt like I had to make this movie for, just the love that I have of Stuart. He basically gave me my career, and also because I love the story and I love Lovecraft's writings. And it was just really important to me to make this movie.
I'm glad you were allotted that opportunity, because this is such a unique, even for Lovecraft, it still feels unique. And I love that it comes to life with so many other great people here. Heather, I'll come to you next. Outside of maybe The Stand, this is really also your first straight horror movie in quite a while. What was it like getting to dive back into that genre, and what about this project really sparked your interest to want to come back?
I mean, I love the aspect of a psychological thriller mixed with horror. And I don't know, Joe asked me to watch Basic Instinct and Body Heat and, Reanimator. And just that kind of erotic thriller horror combination was really cool. I think it's a very smart script too. And I just liked that my character was a therapist, and just this idea of our minds and how complicated people are, and like switching different personas and just getting to play different roles is very exciting as an actor.
So with that latter part said, then I'll come to Judah next. I mean, you both share, Heather and Judah, you both share quite the weight of having to play these multiple personalities throughout the film. What is that like for each of you, getting into those different mindsets, but then also having to develop a really intriguing rapport with one another as the film goes on?
A dream would be my answer. I don't know any other opportunity I've ever had where it's like, here's the script and you're playing multiple characters in it. And I think as an actor, there's something so tantalizing about that. And the interesting piece with the approach on this was having to develop kind of each one separately, and not have them, meld into each other, but really see them as different people and be able to approach them as such. And then I think me and Heather had an excellent rapport. She's like the sweetest, loveliest human being. And I did feel bad on many occasions saying the things that I had to say to her. But I'll blame somebody else for that.
The writer.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a jerk to you too, in moments.
Okay, yeah, it was an equal, but then we would giggle about it in between scenes. So, that's the beauty of it.
So, and then Heather, for you, what was it like, on the flip side, also getting into those multiple personalities and developing that rapport with Judah here?
Well, like Judah said, it's a dream as an actor to get to do multiple characters in the same movie. It's such an incredible opportunity. And obviously working with such other talented people was so fun. I think we all had a great time. And Joe is such a cinephile. So you feel like you're in the hands of someone who really knows movies.
Or who could rent you one at a video store, basically.
No, it's an actor's dream to get to play like 3 different characters in the same movie. It's amazing.
Well, I think you both captured it very well. And then, Jonathan, I'll come to you next. I haven't forgotten you, I promise. But I mean, you've worked with Joe before as well on Creep Show and have plenty of ties to the horror genre as well. What about the script and your character in particular really, sparked that interest to want to be on board for it?
Well, first, the pitch that Joe gave me was sensational. You taking an H.P. Lovecraft and switching roles and pushing the borders of sexuality, and it was just the greatest pitch ever. I was like, I'm on board already, and then I got to read the script, and I love Lovecraft. I've read a lot of his material and worked on it, and so it was a great opportunity. And then they throw in Heather Graham in there. Like, of course, I want to do this. Yeah. So I've been wanting to work with her since it all started. So finally get to.
We've been wanting to work together for a while.
Well, I'm glad that you got the chance to work together. And I find it really interesting as the film goes on, how you don't necessarily get into the body swapping, but you do have a bit of your own personality change in the latter half of the film. What was it like similarly exploring multiple character types while still being one person?
Taken out of the comfort zone of what you're used to, exploring different possibilities, of self and identity and sexuality. And it was fantastic. I had a lot of fun playing something that I never got to play before. More of the submissive part of the equation.
It's, as much as he may be a supporting player, he's still a pivotal one in this film, and I love to see it. Joe, I'll come back to you next. I love how practical this movie is when it comes to a lot of the effects in the film. I'm trying to be somewhat tame on spoilers, but it gets pretty brutal in a lot of this film. How did you go about deciding, how much you wanted to be over the top, so to say, or how much you wanted to pull back on certain elements in that, or that kind of element? That
was one of the interesting balances that we had to do, because we wanted to make this film stand on its own, but at the same time, because it's Lovecraft and because it definitely not just pays homage to Stuart's work like Reanimator and From Beyond, but it's in that world, and I mean, people tend to forget that Lovecraft was one of the original world builders when it came to, like, everyone's talking about, the MCU's got all these different, like connections, and, Stephen King would do it for, has done it for years with Castle Rock, but Lovecraft's been doing it with, Miskatonic and the Necronomicon and Cthulhu for years. And that we wanted to infuse that sensibility into this film, not just in the story and the characters, but also, I mean, people know Reanimator and From Beyond and, Dagon and even Castle Freak. They know that Stuart knew when to push and when to pull back. And that was something that was in there from the get-go with the script that Dennis had done, because he had worked with Stuart. And look, I mean, when I was a kid growing up, and reading the pages of Fangoria, those images were so striking that we wanted to make sure that we recreated that, that kind of feel that you would get when you get to page 32 and you're looking at a color shot of Herbert West, surrounded by zombies in a morgue. We wanted to have that same feel, and not just be something that would be, digital based, or we'll fix it in post, or we'll comp it in post. A lot of this film, we wanted to make sure that it was there on the day, because for many parts, and we don't want to give too much away, watching the other actors and even watching some of the crew look at some of the stuff that was standing right in front of them was, such a joy, but that's, if we're getting that kind of reaction on the day on set, we knew that we were doing something right, because it was going to parlay into what was going to end up on screen as well. So having that practical, and that over the top feel was part and parcel with what we were trying to homage with, but also, still stand on its own and make sure that it hurt where it counted.
As you just mentioned, the imagery of Stuart's work still sticks in my mind to this day. Even when I rewatch Reanimator and From Beyond, I still get shocked seeing how amazing a lot of those practical effects were. And so Heather and Judah, I'll come back to you two next. One of the interesting elements of this body swapping story is just how it happens, with the convulsions and the bones cracking and all of that. And how did you go about working with Joe to really figure out what level of physicality that required for those moments?
Go ahead, guys.
Did you show us, what was it? Some werewolf movie.
Wolf.
Teen Wolf. It was Teen
No,
Wolf.
it wasn't Teen Wolf. God damn it. It's American Werewolf in London.
Okay, it's American Werewolf in London. Okay, we were watching that. And then, we really that was exhausting what we did.
Oh my God.
Multiple times. I mean, I want to just jump in to just say, as a testament to the both Judah and Barbara at one point, and Heather, of course, we would do master shots where we're doing long 11-page scenes. And there were times where they were changing in the same shot. And yeah, I mean, we watched American Werewolf in London purely to show that this is supposed to hurt. It's not supposed to be like Vice Versa, or like Father and Like Son, those like body swap movies, or like Freaky Friday where they just go, no. If we're going to do something that's body horror based, it has to hurt. And I'll never forget being in my Airbnb and going, okay, guys, here we go. Hold on. And then I did it. And then just looking up and looking at all of them going, what have we signed up for? Oh my God.
Yeah, that's true.
But then every day they would come so committed, and watching them, like, I'm not a big veins fan. I can't stand it. So like anytime Jonathan Check would take his shirt off, I'd be like, oh God, there's too many veins. But watching the veins in both Heather's and Judah's necks when they would change, it was all the Cronenbergian body horror that we needed to capture on camera without even a makeup effects artist, because they were so committed to make it feel like this hurt. And this is not a joyous thing. We called it the wackening. So it was this like relationship between the camera operator doing all this funky shit, but also the actors. If you did it and the actors are just standing there going like, when's lunch? Then we were screwed. But they brought it every single day.
I certainly felt it in every scene. I could feel that it was Heather, Judah, and I didn't want to say Barbara for spoiler purposes, but Barbara as well. I could feel all three of you committing to that performance. And so, Jonathan, I'll come to you next, as well as Barbara. I mean, what is it like getting to watch your fellow actor have to go through that for those scenes that are, really quite crazy?
For me, it was amazing to watch Heather transform. It was so much fun. I had so much fun because I didn't know what she was going to bring next. And I could see that she was exploring different things. And I just had to be a participant, a reflective image of what she was going to bring next.
Yeah, I think as good as Heather and Judah are in their normal I want to say normal parts, Heather being the psychiatrist and Judah being the college student, as real and believable and warm and lovely as they both are. When they both turn into the entity, it was an incredible transformation for both of them. It was incredible to watch and to witness, and both of them are such dynamic performers. We were like laughing and with joy, just tickled to death that they went as far as they did. And the transformation I watched through many days of filming, and I think it's okay to say I had to do it once. What do you think, Joe? Is that okay?
Yeah, no, we're not giving too much away here, but it's fine.
But I was like, watching them doing the whackening, the convulsing, changing the bodies. I was like, that's interesting. That's cool. And then when I had to do it, I nearly threw up. I actually had a very bad reaction on set. It was very hot and it was the last night of filming, but I couldn't believe they went through it multiple times, because I went through it once and I was like, I don't know if I could do this again. It was intense. It was an intense feeling. So kudos to them for doing it so many times.
Well, we as an audience are very thankful that you all went through this, because I got to say, I mean, I said it before and I keep saying it. I love this movie. I think it's another wonderful entry into all of your filmographies, as well as the Lovecraft lore. So I see I'm getting the wrap signal, so I'm going to have to let you all go. I hope I got your day started well with interviews.
Thank you, Grant.
Good job.
Thank you.
I look forward to spreading the word. So thank you all.
Awesome.
And have a great weekend.
Thanks so much, Grant.